The Israel-Palestine conflict is now in its 9th day, and the Israeli military that has mobilized more than 360,000 soldiers. This is a bigger mobilization than what Russia had done when it initially began the invasion into Ukraine. And at this moment, this tiny strip of the Gaza territory has been completely surrounded by the Israelis. The hostilities are now in their 9th day, and Israel has carried out with its relentless campaign of bombing neighborhood after neighborhood in the Gaza Strip. It says that it is going after the Hamas militants. But the fact of the matter is, the collateral damage that has been incurred by the Palestinians is just horrific. The United Nations and the Human Rights Watch have condemned this as collective punishment of the people of Gaza, which is tantamount to a war crime. At least about 2,300 Gazans have been killed so far in Israel's relentless attacks that it has carried out on the Gaza Strip. In the latest, the southern border city of Sderot in the state of Israel is being evacuated as the country is preparing for its ground offensive into Gaza. Now, this is the level of mobilization that Israel has got ready in the city of Ashkelon and Sderot. Now, the Israeli Defense Forces say that they are evacuating residents by about 11 a.m. local time, and this comes on the back of the massive military deployment that has taken place. The WION's team is at the location and is continuing to bring the latest updates about the Israeli military preparation for an upcoming ground offensive. This can happen any moment. Remember, Israel has been putting out these ultimatums, asking the Palestinian people to flee from the Gaza Strip. The Gazans who are fleeing from their homes because of this horrific violence and massacres, they say that this reminds them of a second Nakba. They say that this is the life that their grandfathers and grandmothers had lived through when they had been driven out of their homes, and now they're being forced out of their homes all over again. Now, the Israelis claim that they will not target the corridor that is being used by the Gazan residents who are fleeing from this horrific violence and massacres that are unfolding. An IDF spokesperson said, and I quote, "The IDF will refrain from targeting the designated axis between the timings of 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. local time in Palestine." The IDF has requested the Gaza residents to take advantage of this short period of time to move south from the northern part of the Gaza Strip and the Gazan city south of Khan Yunis. Remember, Gaza has a population of 2.3 million people, and at this moment, this is what the situation is like in Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, at Israel's northern border with Lebanon, there are reports of Israeli attacks that continue to come in. Earlier, there was firing that was reported, and the Israelis claimed that it was directed at one of their settlements. Following the incident, the Israeli forces decided to isolate the area up to 4 kilometers from the northern border with Lebanon. The IDF has clarified that entering the area is strictly prohibited for common people. Meanwhile, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has said that Israel's actions in Gaza have gone beyond the scope of self-defense. China says that this is no longer self-defense and that the Israeli government must cease its collective punishment of the people of Gaza. Now, Wang Yi made these comments on his call to his Saudi Arabian counterpart, saying that all parties should not take any further action to escalate the violence in the region. The United States, on the other hand, is not holding back. Remember, it has stoutly backed the state of Israel. It is arming the state of Israel with more and more deadly weapons. And these American weapons have been handed over to the Israeli hands, which are then subsequently being dropped on the Gaza Strip. Now, the United States now is sending another aircraft carrier strike group to the eastern Mediterranean Sea near the state of Israel. The USS Eisenhower and its affiliated warships will join another strike group that is already stationed in the region by the Americans. Now, these US carrier strike groups are bringing in more weapons and more artillery and more firepower to add to the Israeli firepower. The United States' aim is here to deter any other non-state faction from jumping in to the rescue of the Gazan people. Now, Washington has also sent ammunition to the state of Israel and has warned other countries to not get involved and to let Israel do its campaign in the Gaza Strip. On ground zero, Israel has in fact amassed hundreds of thousands of troops and military equipment at the border along Gaza. Israel has ordered the Palestinians living in the northern part of Gaza to immediately flee from their homes, leave everything behind and go to the south, because there is the expectation of a full-blown ground conflict, a ground invasion by the Israeli troops and their tanks into the Gaza Strip, which is pretty imminent. Israeli cities continue to come under rocket fire from Gaza, with Tel Aviv having been hit overnight. Remember, the Hamas group has got these crude rockets that are manufactured out of these plastic pipes that they use to make these rockets, and these are the rockets that Hamas has, which it is continuing to fire into the state of Israel. Now, Hamas has told the people to not leave their homes. It has said that the roads out there are simply not safe. The group has also alleged that dozens have been killed in strikes on cars and trucks that were carrying refugees who were trying to flee from their homes towards the southern part of the Gaza Strip. Hamas says that these are strikes that are being carried out by the State of Israel. Now, Israel accuses Hamas of using the civilians as human shields. Now, considering the situation in Gaza, the European Commission has announced tripling its current humanitarian assistance to about $79 million. The European Union has decided earlier this week to maintain aid to the Palestinian people, and it backtracked after a commissioner said that the European Commission was putting all its developmental aid for the Palestinian people under review. All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening at this moment, my colleague Siddhant Sibil, who is at this moment on the ground near the Gaza border, he's joining us on this broadcast over the phone line. Siddhant, bring us up to speed. Firstly, tell us where you are and tell us what the situation is like at this moment.
Well, Mohammed, I'm moving towards Sderot, the city where the evacuation has been announced, which is very close to the Gaza border, and perhaps that's the only place the closest to the Gaza border. But as we have been reporting in the last 1 hour, the situation remains dire. There are concerns and challenges as well. There is hope as well, but what we have witnessed is the presence of the tanks on the ground. A large number of presence of tanks. These tanks, of course, have been practicing, and they will be sent as reinforcement. There is also the presence and build-up of the tanks when it comes to the Gaza border as well. There is an expected offensive that is expected to be launched by the Israeli government in northern part of Gaza, but that can also lead to a humanitarian challenge, given that many of these Gazans have to move towards southern part in a very short span, and that creates more problems than find a solution. So there is a terror challenge, there is a humanitarian challenge, but above all, there is the worry over what comes next when the ground offensive is launched. On the ground, very few people present. The civilians have been asked to leave many of these cities, but we have witnessed is ghost towns, and of course, literally most roads are empty. It's something that is eerie in many senses, but of course, there is a strong sense of nationalism as well. We have seen several vehicles, military vehicles, moving in the region, moving towards the southern part, and they're carrying the Israeli flag. So essentially, it is a kind of a make or break moment for Israel as well as a country, as it faces this challenge, the challenge of terrorism, the attack which was done by Hamas.
Right, Siddhant. And also, we just saw your report a little while back. You were standing near the place where Israel had amassed some of their troops. Give us a sense of the preparation that Israel has done ahead of a possible ground incursion by the Israeli forces into the Gaza Strip.
Well, it's given that Israel has planned a major offensive. It's given that the security is at the heightened security presence on the ground. But what I can tell you about what I have seen is the presence of the security personnel on the ground, the presence of tanks on the ground. Several of the tanks now look like to move towards Gaza, and also where I was standing just few minutes ago, I saw that how there was a plume of smoke coming from above the above Gaza. So there is a strong preparations, and right now I can see a boat saying that I'm 17 kilometers away from Cedrot. So I will be reaching the location very soon, and we'll get to know what's happening in that town, which is essentially the border town which saw the terror attack, and is now the front line.
Absolutely, indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibil, for joining us over the phone line and getting us all those details. I know you and our video journalist Sanjeet have been getting us all the images and all the updates that are unfolding at this moment in the Gaza Strip. And also, do stay safe, because this is a difficult moment in this war, and things are, of course, expected to escalate from here. So this is what the situation looks like. This is near in the city of Ashkelon, fairly close to the Gaza Strip. This is the level of mobilization that we are witnessing at this moment, as the state of Israel is now getting ready for a possible ground incursion. Remember, Israel has mobilized an estimated 300,000 soldiers and reservists to carry out a potential ground incursion into Gaza. This is a bigger mobilization than what Russia had put together when it, in the initial days, had carried out its invasion of Ukraine. And also to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening on the ground, what is expected to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, we're being joined in by Brigadier General Mir Elran. He is also a senior researcher at the Institute for National Security Studies, and he's joining us on this broadcast. General Elran, this is a crucial moment in this conflict. The IDF has declared restricted areas up to 4 kilometers from the Lebanon border, where the civilians have been prohibited from entering. Can you give us as to what is happening? You know, while we've been talking about what is happening on the front with Gaza, can you give us a sense of what is happening at this moment with Israel's border with Lebanon?
Well, the most important development right now is, of course, the evolving situation at Gaza, which has been going on now for more than a week. And absolutely, Israel is focusing on the Gazan arena with a very, very clear aim of eliminating Hamas and freeing the Palestinian people who have miserable life under the Hamas regime.
Right.
And actually, what we need to do and what we are going to do in the next phase of this war is to get rid of Hamas, its military wing, its political wing, its institution, and to enable a new chapter in the history, in the very gloomy history of the relations between Israel and Palestinians.
If I can just interject there, a lot of people are also asking about the Israeli strategy at this moment. We've witnessed the kind of mobilization that Israel has done along the Gaza Strip. But questions are also being asked about what is the Israeli strategy to bring back the at least 130 to 150 Israeli captives that are at this moment in the custody of Hamas. So what is the Israeli strategy to try and get those Israeli captives from Hamas's custody?
Well, first of all, we have to realize it's not only Israelis. We also have quite a number of foreign residents who have been captured and held by Hamas. Hamas is responsible for what's happening to them, and they need to be freed immediately. The strategy, of course, is to get rid of Hamas, and this would be the best way for us to get the captured civilians and military people who are held by Hamas. That's the strategy right now. We are focused, we are aiming at Hamas. This is the responsible of Hamas, who made a huge strategic miscalculation by attacking us last Saturday, and then they are now paying the price.
Right.
And the price is very, very dear for them,
right,
and also very painful for us.
Now, General, as you say, Hamas is paying the price, and Hamas should pay the price, because what Hamas did is absolutely reprehensible and is being condemned worldwide. But questions are also being asked about the collateral damage that the state of Israel is inflicting on the common people of Palestine. More than 2,300 Gazans have been killed in this campaign of air raids that Israel has been carrying out. The question that I want to ask you is, how much further do you think this conflict is likely to continue? While on the one hand, Israel says that it wants to wipe out Hamas, it's also the Gazan people who seem to be paying the ultimate price with the air raids of Israelis.
Well, we of course in Israel understand that the plight for the Palestinian people, talking about the residents, the civilian population, is very important for us, and we are looking forward to a new chapter after this war is gone, a new chapter between Israel and the Palestinian people, absolutely. But this will be happening only after Hamas is eliminated from the political and military equations.
When you say a new chapter between the Israeli and the Palestinian people, can you give us more details as to what you mean is this new chapter between the Israeli and the Palestinian people? And if I can just complete the question, and what will be the condition of the Palestinian people in this new chapter that you're talking about?
Well, we have to understand that the ones who are responsible for the future and the present of the Palestinian people are the Palestinian governments. And we have governments there, unfortunately, held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and they are doing harm to their own people. I mean, they're responsible for the plight of the Palestinian people right now. What Israel is doing is explain to the Palestinian people, to the civilians over there, to leave the area of conflict, which is now in the northern part of Gaza, and to get themselves to the southern part of Gaza. And what the Hamas government is doing is preventing the civilians from leaving their homes to protect themselves and get to the southern part, which is going to be a safe haven for them. That's the idea right now. And instead of Hamas helping them to leave this area, they are using them as human shield in order to supposedly keep the survival of the Hamas government. This is not going to happen. And that's why Israel is very insistent.
The United Nations and the Human Rights Watch have actually criticized, the United Nations and the Human Rights Watch have criticized the strategy that has been employed by the state of Israel. They've said that Israel has put 2.3 million Gazans under a state of complete blockade. Today is the 6th day since the Palestinian people are under blockade.
Okay.
A population of 2.3 million. If I can just complete my question here. A population of 2.3 million people has been deprived of access to food, water, electricity and fuel. This is collective punishment that is tantamount to a war crime. How does Israel reconcile with this?
Well, I beg to differ from you completely.
It's not I who's saying this, it is the United Nations who's saying this.
Well, this is not something that is accepted by me and by anybody else who is human and who understands the situation, who understands the evil and the terrorist spirit.
No, I get the point that you're making, but the point is about collective punishment. While you want to punish Hamas, no one questions that, but can you also punish the entire population of Gaza with the Israeli action of having cut them off with everything that makes an individual human?
Well, again, the idea is to understand what's happening. And what's happening right now in Gaza itself is that Hamas is preventing their own Palestinian people in the Gaza to be saved. They are making them into a target. And you have to understand that we have postponed the whole operation, and we are waiting for them, to get out of the territory. And Hamas is preventing them from doing that. So for all those who are, well-wishers for the Palestinian people, which is a very noble cause, I would suggest for them to approach the Hamas government and to tell them, stop preventing our people from getting down to the southern part. We are short of time,
so my last question to you is this. Now, at this moment, 1,300 Israelis have died. At this moment, according to the information that is coming out of the Gaza Strip, at least about 2,300 Palestinians have died. At least 600 Palestinian children have also died. How much further do you think this conflict will go on, and at what point will Israel declare victory?
Well,
what do you think is the death toll at which this will happen?
Let me answer you very clearly. If Hamas leadership cares about its own people, they should surrender today. They should just go out and say, okay, it is our responsibility and we are willing to pay the price. This is what's happening. And we are abolishing our responsibility for what's happening in Gaza.
So Israel says that it is not taking any responsibility whatsoever for the death toll in Gaza.
The Hamas does not do that. I mean, that's exactly my point. My point is that it is the responsibility of Hamas. This is the government of Gaza, and they are the ones who are responsible for what's happening right now. Remember what happened on last Saturday? They launched a treacherous, miscalculated attack on Israel, causing a huge damage. You know, lots of people have been killed. 1,200 people have been killed, butchered, slain. Okay, and now we have to be taking care of the Palestinian people. Yes, we do. That's why we exactly say to them again and again.
All right.
I
think you've
let
made
us do
your
the
point
job
clear.
over there to free you, to free the Palestinians from this evil government. Okay.
I think General, you've made your point.
Exactly
We're completely out of time. But just while wrapping up, I just want to reiterate what Secretary of State Anthony Blinken had to say about this conflict. He said that democracies must hold themselves to better standards than these militant factions. I think we can agree on that front.
Well, I agree that we have to be considerate, and we are very considerate.
All right.
And the fact of the matter is that what's happening right now, and you have to understand that, what is happening right now, that Israel is trying to help the civilians in Gaza by letting them going down to the southern part of Gaza, okay? And the Hamas government is preventing that from happening.
All right.
That's exactly
General, we are completely out of time. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us and getting us those updates. You know, people around the world are watching this conflict, and they'll, of course, come to the conclusion that they'll have to, because the images that are coming out point out that what is happening is a humanitarian disaster, and everyone, people in Israel and people in the Gaza Strip, need to be safe. Thank you very much indeed again, General.